Hi everyone, and welcome to StudioJake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Welcome to my vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I am less than 10 away of reaching my goal of 1,000 subs, so every single click of that subscribe button helps me out. When I get to 1,000, I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything live stream where I'll be taking questions from the YouTube chat. So please consider subscribing, and thanks to all of you who already have. All right, diving right into the topic. I thought that this was a really interesting tidbit from Disney. Apparently, they've released an update on the official MCU timeline. So, for those of you who don't know, Disney actually keeps the timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe pretty well kept. I do think that they are making a massive mistake by making the post-Civil War Rhodey a scroll. Hopefully they'll change their mind about that. There's actually rumors that Armor Wars is going to ignore that, and that it's just going to be Rhodey. It became a scroll after Endgame. So, and also there's a lot of other weird things, like for instance, Rhodey actually bleeds blood in all the movies post-Civil War, which Krees bleed green, and they have trouble keeping their shape-shifting abilities in check if they're in pain. So it makes no sense that he was a scroll up until or since Civil War. It's so stupid. Anyway, I can go on about that. Point is, they've released kind of an update that I wanted to just briefly talk about, and that's that the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, played, of course, brilliantly by Elizabeth Olsen. She has apparently been killed off as a character. So and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I hear the director's cut of that movie is way better. I doubt we'll ever get to see it. # release the Rami cut, but I digress. So how the movie concluded was Doctor Strange, played of course by Benedict Cumberbatch. He's battling Wanda, and he basically connects her with a good version of herself in the multiverse, and that version basically makes Wanda realize that she's doing the wrong thing, and they're in a temple in Wundagore, which in the comic books is actually where the High Revolutionary is. And of course we saw the High Evolutionary in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But anyway, he wasn't in Multiverse of Madness. So what happens is basically Wanda collapses the temple that she's in on herself, and and it's kind of left up in the movie, up in the air, whether she's actually been killed off or not. However, according to the official MCU timeline that got updated, she's gone. She's not a character anymore. This is from Scarlet Witch Updates, which is a bit basically they're a Twitter, or excuse me, X account that keeps up and is, stands for Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch. According to them, Wanda ended herself according to the MCU and official timeline. Fall 2024, 838, Wanda gathers the boys and assures the heartbroken Scarlet Witch they'll be loved. Wanda destroys Wundagore and collapses it upon herself, ending two great threats to all of the multiverse. So I think that that's really cool, really interesting. I didn't like because they kept trying to justify Wanda's actions in WandaVision. If they wanted, what I wanted to do if I was the writer or director, I would have made it where Wanda didn't know she had done it to the town. Like it just was a side effect of her abilities. But that's not how they did it. They made it where she intentionally basically brainwashed all these people and kept them in a torturous loop of her will. And so then in Multiverse of Madness, she was trying to justify her actions by saying, oh, you break the rules and you're a hero. I break the rules. Well, yeah, Doctor Strange broke the rules to save the universe. He didn't break the rules out of selfish desire. He had to sacrifice his rule book to save the world from Thanos. And even later in that movie, because basically there's a Doctor Strange variant that gets killed off, Doctor Strange uses an ability to take over that dead body. And again, Wanda's like, you're a hypocrite. And it's like, no, he's not a hypocrite. He didn't take over a living thing. He took over a zombified version of himself, basically. Just absolutely ridiculous how they try to justify her actions. Well, In the movie, she realizes her actions are wrong. So I think that, they decided to close the chapter on this. But I will tell you, this is what I think that this means. They are going to reboot the MCU. There's been rumors that they were going to do that with Secret War for some time. I actually discussed this rumor on fellow YouTuber Jester Bell's channel during one of her live streams, that they're going to use Avengers, because it's supposed to be Avengers Kang Dynasty, which will conclude the Avengers battle with Kang, and then they're going to go into Secret War, which is supposed to be, they're going to bring in variants from all these different dimensions. There's even rumors that Hugh Jackman is going to return as Wolverine. Apparently, he won't return unless he becomes a main character in the story, which I would actually be okay with. But however that is going to play out, to me, this tells me that they are going to do that they're going to introduce new actors to portray some of these characters, which I think is going to be really hard to do, because a lot of us who have been watching since Phase 1, since the very first Iron Man, we've become attached to those characters and the actors who have played them. Now, recasting has worked to varying degrees with the Hulk and with Rhodey. So perhaps it could work out, but it would just depend on who they cast. They can't do it like they did with Star Trek. Star Trek originally started out, when they rebooted in the Kelvin timeline, the cast was great, but then, a lot of people saw the writing to be subpar. I actually enjoyed the Kelvin timeline. If you want me to do a video about that, I will. But then when they did, Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Strange New Worlds, a lot of people weren't happy with the casting, particularly of Kirk. But with Marvel, they do have a decent track record of recasting, and then especially with them reinventing how things are going to go down, like such with Daredevil, where they just basically threw out all of the scripts and they're just going to start completely over. Perhaps we'll see something better. I hope that's the case. However it turns out, I do think that this confirms that the MCU is going to get rebooted, and we're going to see new actors play these roles, and we're going to see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four introduced. We already know the Fantastic Four is coming. There's a battle on how the X-Men are going to be represented, because some people don't want them to be called the X-Men. That person who was really pushing that has been fired by Disney, so hopefully, clearer heads will prevail. Scarlet Witch is one of my all-time favorite Avengers. She appears, of course, in Wolverine and the X-Men, which was a fantastic animated series. She, of course, appeared in another one of my favorite animated series, which is X-Men. She wasn't a main character in the 90s X-Men, but she would make sporadic appearances, as did her brother Quicksilver. She was also a member of the Force Works in the Iron Man animated series, which, again, love that series. There was a little bit of a controversy because the X-Men animated series and Iron Man, the animated series, are supposed to be in the same timeline as are Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, as well as the Hulk. So it was kind of interesting because the X-Men animated series, Scarlet Witch, is very different from the one presented in Iron Man. But who knows, maybe that's a variant thing. I don't know. Nonetheless, I really like Elizabeth Olsen as an actress. I think she's phenomenal. I thought she was fantastic in Wind River. It's become one of my favorite movies. It's kind of like a modern-day Western. Really thought it was fantastic. She was good in Love and Death. I didn't like a lot of the support cast in Love and Death, but I did think she did a great job as the character and portraying a real-life murderer, Candy Montgomery. I should be careful because she actually got off on self-defense, but I hope that she does return to play Scarlet Witch at least one more time, and that maybe we can get a good redemption, even if it's in the form of a variant. I would be okay with that because I really like how she portrays the character and her role in the Avengers. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment and tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to StudioJake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's studiojakemedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.